This disclaimer was copied without permission. Cheers, Quaffers, Scotters, Wiggers, and all other good people out there. Hops Watch here, and just like last year, I'm ready with an Easter time video reviewing yet another beer from Ølluminati. That pun just never gets old, does it? So today we'll have this is a humle saison, a hoppy saison, French Revolution. I can even read this without my glasses. What a jolly thing to experience. So age doesn't appear to have wrecked me yet. Let's have a look. So it's a Belgian-inspired ale with lots of taste. Well, who would brag with a beer that doesn't taste of anything? Oh yeah, of course, Carlsberg, Anheuser-Busch, Heineken. Well, that may be a couple of companies. Very easy to drink while relaxing and after royal decapitations. Oh, this is a beer for me, it seems. This actually raises the expectations quite a bit. So if this is not a good beer, boy, are they in for something. Handcrafted at Ølluminati Brew Bar in Viborg, and Ølluminati is also a concert venue. Would probably not be working as that right now, and we all know why, and I'll come back to that, of course. Let's open it and see what we've got. There's a bit of a hubby sensation when I lift the cap. So I quite like this style. Refreshing, but also aromatic. Slightly sour, or at least it can be. Oh, this is nice. Completely clear brew. I guess it would be filtered. Apparently not. It's unfiltered, but it's absolutely crystal clear. I can look through it without any effort. Sourish notes, without, however, being off balance. The good soury notes that you get from good sour beers. Some alcoholic notes, cat subtle, with a sweet touch of apples. Whoops. High foam. What a mess. Oh well, might as well. Jumped right into it. Don't want the beer to go to waste, do we? So, sweet and sour. Definitely refreshing. Back taste, a slight taste of banana. The sweet notes of banana, which I like. I prefer my bananas ripe. Banana taste can be problematic in beers. It's a byproduct of the yeast, of the fermentation actually, not the yeast as such, but the fermentation called esters. And it's a specific kind of ester which is called isoamyl acetate. I always thought that sounded quite toxic. I guess it isn't, with all the so-called banana beers that I have had and occasionally liked even. Yes, I am like that. I guess it wouldn't be that toxic after all. It only sounds like that. I mean, take dihydrogen monoxide. Now that's something you want to avoid. I even heard they put that stuff in beers. Okay, so to begin with, a slightly sweet note, again of apples and of banana. However, the banana flavor is not in the forefront, which is basically good. Many pale Belgian beers taste way too much of banana, and it's actually a nuisance. Slight alcoholic note. Grass, a bit of grass, hay. Those would be the bitter notes. Lacking richness does annoy me a bit. But then again, there's a bit more for the refreshing tooth. So it's not that problematic in a beer like this. Back taste is bitter, of dry hay, and not entirely in balance, I would say. A tad to the rancid side. Some would say this adds character to the beer. I think it's slightly off balance still. It's a nice, refreshing representative of the style. It's not supposed to be an aromatic explosion. The style was thought out to be something you could enjoy while you were working hard in the field. And as such, it works very well, I would say, even with a bit of challenge for the taste buds. I give it 4. I've had better still. Could do with a bit more aroma, could do with a bit more richness, even though with its lightness, it falls well into the category. So what would you do over Easter while being in Corona lockdown? Well, I would do what I've been doing on and off for the last couple of weeks anyway. I will sit at home doing practically nothing. I became unemployed shortly before all this went down, which made me feel very, very miserable very, very quickly. Then I actually got a job, which I had for 2 weeks. Then they had to cut down on production because of you know what. So here I am again, unemployed. But at least this time I'm pretty much on par with, if not everyone else, then at least many other people. Introvert as I am, I'm not only used to sitting home alone, being myself, it's actually something that I easily can enjoy. The problem is, however, I am most of the time doing a whole lot of nothing, like not recording videos, even though I've got the time to do that now. Silly. Also, I'm not drinking much, that could be good, but not drinking this much, it's not really needed. So Easter is coming up. And over Easter, as I did say last year, I know about good ways to spend your Easter holiday. And then there are the religious people. And one thing that the virus has taught us is that there will always be people who ignore recommendations from government, even, or maybe even especially when the recommendations of government are sensible. And on the forefront, we so often find religious people, and there were examples from Bangladesh, tens of thousands of people meeting together in prayer to stop coronavirus. It's ideal grounds for spreading it, of course. We've seen that religious cult in South Korea, which demanded their members go to church even when they were sick. We've seen, Torben Søndergaard, he would be one of them. He downplays the danger of the coronavirus heavily in some of his latest videos. I am planning on actually making an expose of that. However, take my words for it, and links to his videos in the description if you can take watching him. I can't really, that's why videos about Torben Søndergaard are relatively far apart. And also here in Denmark, we've had our challenges with the religious people who demanded the church be opened over Easter. You see, in Denmark is a backward country which still has a state church. The Danish People's Party, which luckily was reduced heavily in our last elections, I've talked about that in an earlier video, they demanded the churches be opened over Easter. And they said, oh, you can do that if you make sure that not too many people are in the church, and you make sure that people distance themselves in church, we can still have Easter masses and all that. Why it was so important for them it's difficult for me to understand. Why they were insisting on opening the church, it's very difficult for me as a humanist to understand. Why is church service so much more important than human lives? And who were they thinking were to enforce the regulations? Who were to make sure that people would keep their distance entering the church, leaving the church, and also when attending mass? Who was going to run up to them and say, you have to keep your distance, you have to keep your distance? Running up close to people, thus exposing themselves to the danger of being infected, and also exposing the churchgoers to the danger of being infected by the priest or the clergyman, whomever was going to enforce those rules. One of the loudest voices, this was actually interesting, was the organization of Danish priests, which sent a very diplomatic letter. The Danish Minister of Church Affairs actually started listening to the Danish People's Party's demands, opened for the possibility, and that's when the priests came out and sent this very diplomatic letter, which basically said, if you read between the lines, no, no, no! And that's when even the minister had to decide that, okay, this is not something that we're going to do. But I guess there will be no concerts this year, and definitely no church. But hey, I don't think I have ever attended church during Easter. Not once. I mean, I used to when I was small to go to church with my parents on Christmas, because that was just something you did, and people still do. Not so much on Easter. There was also always something about eating a lot of chocolate eggs, which my parents would hide in our garden. Those were good times. Those are fantastic childhood memories. That's definitely a story for another time. I don't have much more for this video. I would like to wish everyone who celebrated a wonderful Easter, also people who may be religious. I want you to have a fantastic Easter as well, of course, and still keep your distance, wash your hands, don't touch your face, all that good stuff. If you want to socialize, do it online. Well, one way to socialize is to play Minecraft with each other over servers, stuff like that. Do that. Now you have the best excuse in the world. And if you like what I do, please click subscribe and the bell for notifications. And when it comes to alcohol, beer in particular, but any alcohol, not only at this time, but at any time, always remember to drink responsibly. And until next time, cheers. But then again, there's a bit more for the refreshing tooth. So it's not that problematic in a beer like this. It's laid back. I have to come up with another word. I'm always singing every time I'm saying that.